Greetings, cool cats! We're glad to be back with you this week for our third stop on the band World Tour. This week we explore a few of the music traditions of the huge continent of South America. As you can see from the map, there are 13 countries in South America, including Chile, Argentina, Brazil, Bolivia, Peru, Colombia, Venezuela, Ecuador, Paraguay, Uruguay, Guyana, Suriname, and French Guiana. Along South America's western coast run the Andes Mountains. The Andes is the world's longest mountain range, and its varied terrain includes volcanoes, grassland, desert, lakes, and forests. Even though the mountains run through several different countries, they help unify some of the music traditions in the region. Andean music is a group of styles of music from the Andes region in South America that have a lot in common.
Original chants and melodies come from the indigenous peoples who lived in the area of the Inca Empire over 800 years ago.
Wow.
This early music then was fused with Spanish music elements that came from contact with Spanish conquistadors just over 400 years ago. It includes folk music from parts of Peru, Bolivia, and Ecuador. Andean music is popular to different degrees across Latin America, having its core public audience in rural areas and among indigenous populations. The Nueva Canción movement of the 1970s revived the genre across Latin America and brought it to places where it was unknown or forgotten.
So an important instrument of Andean music is the flute. And in the Andes region, there are two main kinds, the notched end flute, or quena, and the pan flute. The quena is one pipe, usually made of reed or bamboo, and typically has 6 finger holes. Both ends are open in the tube, and the performer places the notched end under their chin, and they use the chin to cover part of that hole, and then they blow across the notch that's in the front of the flute to create the sound. And then, of course, you can use your fingers to change the airflow and change the sound, kind of like a recorder, just with a very different mouthpiece. The pan flute, on the other hand, has multiple tubes, but no finger holes. And each tube is a different length, and it makes its own pitch. You can figure this out at home by taking different lengths of tubing, cardboard tubes or PVC pipes, and tap them. Or if you've played boom whackers in your elementary classes, you can hear the different length tubes make different pitches. Well, if you blow on a tube that's longer, it's deeper, and shorter, it's higher pitch. So the performer moves their mouth and air across the different tubes to make a melody. Traditionally, pan flutes are made from aquatic reeds found in the area they were made in, but modern pan flutes are most often made of bamboo. And some flutes have 2 rows of tubes, which gives the performer even more notes to use. So they move across and forward and backward, and small holes. So it's really a lot of precision and I think a very tight embouchure to get that air just to hit that one tube. You'll see this in the next video, demonstrates both kinds of flutes that are so important in the Andes mountain region. And you'll see the group Huaycucuna, which are 2 brothers from Ecuador. Here they are playing a song from America called The Sound of Silence. That was by Simon and Garfunkel, I believe in the 1960s, famous tune. They love it. It's not a traditional tune of the Andes, but they're traditional players and they choose to play it, so that's totally cool. You'll clearly see and hear both kinds of flutes, including the notched end flute, the single row pan flute, and the double row pan flute. So we hope you enjoy this next video.
America would be complete without a visit to Brazil. Brazil is the largest country in South America and has a population of over 200 million people. Sao Paulo is the largest city with over 12 million people, and Rio de Janeiro, one of Brazil's most famous cities, has almost 7 million. Like we've learned before, big countries and even smaller ones can have many different music traditions depending on the region, and Brazil is no different. We're going to look at one style today that features lots of percussion, Maracatu. This type of music is played primarily in the Recife and Olinda regions of the state of Pernambuco, which is also a type of wood to make the best bows for string instruments. Maracatu is an Afro-Brazilian style of music played during the celebration of Carnival. The music serves as the backdrop for parade groups that evolved out of ceremonies originally conducted during colonial times. The music is played on large alfaia drums, large metal gongig bells, snare drums, and shakers. Alfaya drums use frames of wood with an animal skin stretched across the top and tied onto the lower rim of the drum. Musicians can change the tightness of the ropes to raise or lower the pitch of the drums.
Shakers are also important in this style of music. They're made of gourds, which have been dried and scooped out. I have a gourd instrument. It's called an ipu. I brought it for the Hawaiian video, if you remember. These gourds look most like the butternut squashes you might see in a grocery store or in your garden, but they're much bigger, have a thinner skin, and don't rot when they dry up. So don't let a squash sit around your house for months, try to make a shaker out of it, because it'll just turn moldy and you will be sad.
I did that.
Get actual gourd.
Get a gourd.
It's a different It's a different vegetable. Yeah, you got to get the right one.
Yep.
So the gourds are then covered with a net of beads or shells around the outside, which give it a very bright sound when you tap it. So this next video has a huge Marcotte Ensemble performing in the street. It features a front line of shaker players and dancers. You'll see the alfaya drums as well as congas and other percussion instruments. Here's Grupo Yalu doing their thing.
Então, vamos fazer de novo! Também não ouvi não. Você ouviu mexer alguma coisa? Eu não ouvi também não. Eu não ouvi nada. Foi muito baixo.
We hope you liked that video and saw those cool shakers on the front line. For our last stop in South America, we're going to look at the Mapuche people and one of their important traditional instruments. The Mapuche are the most numerous group of indigenous people in South America and number about 1.4 million across several regions and countries, including Argentina and Chile. The instrument we will see is called a trutruca, and it's a type of natural trumpet, which means there are no valves to press to change the notes. On the natural trumpet, to change the notes, the performer changes their embouchure, what you do with your mouth and your lips and your muscles, and what they do on the mouthpiece. That's the only way they can change pitch. I've never played a trutruca, but I have played another type of natural horn from Germany called the Alpenhorn. It's bigger, heavier, longer, thicker, with a bigger bore, but it's a natural horn, and it was super hard to get a good sound out of it. And I didn't think it was hard to change notes, but the notes changed on their own. I didn't have any control over what the notes did, so it had a mind of its own. You'd blow and it would just change pitch, and it was hard to control what came out of it. I was able to squeak out a couple notes that were what I wanted or heard, but I imagine that the trutruca is at least as tricky to play, if not more so, than the Alpenhorn.
Trutrucas are usually made of bamboo, but are sometimes made of metal tubes. They can be between 8 and 18 feet long, and are sometimes straight and sometimes coiled. They're usually wrapped in some kind of fiber-like rope, and will have a cow horn as the bell end of the instrument. In the next video, you'll see a coiled trutruca. Notice how bright and loud the sound of the horn is, and the rhythmic patterns the performer uses in his performance.
De nuestro pueblo originario mapuche. La trutruca, que puede ser circular o puede ser alargada. Tenemos dos formas de trutruca. El sonido es un sonido gutural, es un sonido, ¿no es cierto?, porque el mapuche en sus diferentes instrumentos todo lo relaciona también con la naturaleza. podríamos decir que esta es la fuerza de los truenos, de los relámpagos, la fuerza del viento. Podríamos decir que la chuchuca es eso. Y suena así. Como esta, que tiene un sonido diferente.
Well, we saw some really cool and amazing instruments and music traditions this week. Remember, this is just a tiny sample of what South America has to offer. So ask your parents, ask your teachers, ask your friends to help you search for other musical styles from that part of the world. I guess we have the joke of the week. Do you know why it's important not to sing in the shower?
I don't.
If you get soap in your mouth, it will turn into a soap opera.
Soap opera. That's good. That's good. And your delivery, Miss Kerr, your delivery. Wow. Beautiful.
Très magnifique, yes.
Yeah, just very dry. You got
fans out there.
Yeah, if you're going to be in a shower, you want a dry delivery. I mean, well, maybe no. Okay.
Oh, it just keeps coming. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Back to work, everybody. Have a great day.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.